Good morning. This is the August 21st, 2024 meeting of the Buffalo Regional Board of Review. This hearing is being held via video conference call, WebEx, at the following locations: Amherst Town Hall, Council Chambers, 5583 Main Street, second floor, Williamsville, New York, 14221. Time is 9 o'clock and the hearing is officially open. Members of the board are David Flynn, Rick Andrews, John Cheney, and Peter Clayman. My name is John Leiden. I am the chairman. From the Department of State, we have Hendrik Schenk and Chris Jensen. We will now hear the scheduled petitions. When you speak, please address the board and give your name, title, and legal address so that our court reporter can have all the information requested. We may have to stop from time to time to consult with our technical staff. In making comments to the board, please provide a descriptive narrative on matters referring to your exhibits to enable the court reporter to enter these into the record. The first hearing is petition number 2024-0158. This hearing is in the matter of Forsyth-Warren Farm. For the record, I would like to point out that Peter Clayman of the board is recusing himself from this particular first hearing.
Hey, John,
Yes.
Peter has to actually leave the room. Peter actually has to leave the room.
Peter, you have to leave the room. Okay. First hearing, nature of the grievance and the relief sought. The petition pertains to the change of occupancy of an existing residential dwelling. The dwelling was constructed circa 1808 and was listed on the National Register of Historic Places on January 24th, 2020. As detailed in the application, the building is proposed for an occupant load of under 50 persons and classified as a Group B occupancy, parentheses, small building, 2020 Building Code of New York State, Section 303.1.1. The building is construction type 5B, wood frame, unprotected, 2 stories in height with a 3,440 square feet gross floor area for the entire building. The building is known as the historic Forsyth-Warren Tavern, located at 5182 Bridge Road, Town of Cambria, County of Niagara, State of New York. The petitioner is appealing the determinations made by the code enforcement officer as they pertain to Section 19 NYCRR, Part 1221, the Building Code of New York State, Section 302.1, occupancy classification and use designation, which reads in part that structures shall be classified into one or more of the occupancy groups listed in this section based on the nature of the hazards and risks to building occupants generally associated with the intended purpose of the building or structure. Parentheses, proposed use detailed in the application and associated exhibits is Group B, business occupancy. The code enforcement official made the determination that the proposed use is a mixed use and occupancy of Group B, business and residential Group R1, transient with sleeping units. Petitioner is seeking reversal of the determination made by the code enforcement official. Also, Section 19 NYCRR, Part 1227, the existing Building Code of New York State, Section 1201.3, which reads in part that where a building in Group R3 is used for Group A, B, or M purposes, such as museum tours, exhibits, and other public assembly activities, or for museums less than 3,000 square feet, the building official may determine that the occupancy is Group B, where life safety conditions can be demonstrated in accordance with Section 1201.2. Parentheses. Code enforcement official made the determination that the existing use and occupancy of the building is a one-family dwelling. Petitioner details the existing building as an R3 use and occupancy. Petitioner is seeking a reversal of the determination made by the code enforcement officer. At this point, the petitioner may come forward and make his case. Please come forward and identify yourself.
Tyler Booth. I live at 3037 Lower Mountain Road.
You might want to be louder.
Sorry.
That's my guess.
Just to forewarn you,
Are you gonna mention too about Ford?
Yeah, so Peter Clayman is recused himself,
Yes.
and so now we have one less member voting. So,
Okay. That's
okay. Go ahead.
Just told everyone I had a migraine for 2 days.
Yeah, I've had one for about a week and a half. Not as bad as
It
yours.
gets rough.
I know.
Tyler Booth, I live at 3037 Lower Mountain Road, Sanborn, New York, also the town of Cambria. I also own 5182 Bridge Road. So from my understanding, the appeal has kind of gone through a shift where we're talking today just about the occupancy classifications rather than the appeal that was filed.
So the wording is that you're appealing the ruling of the code enforcement officer. So we want to get back to you presenting your case of why you think that's inaccurate,
Okay,
his ruling, and that's what you need to present.
so his entire ruling or just the occupancy portion of it?
Just the two occupancy,
Okay,
things that I had mentioned.
gotcha.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here that, in manner of speaking, we don't care about. Because we care about the two matters that are before us, that's what we're gonna move on, not all the other ancillary, this, that, and the other thing. That's between you and whoever else for that matter.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, so some things that I wanted to talk about correcting here. So the building is actually only 1,440 square feet. The building department incorrectly used the gross area, or at least some sort of calculation of that for the gross square footage.
so I mean, I got 2 stories in height with 3,440 square feet gross floor area. You're saying that's not accurate?
That's the gross building area.
And what are you gonna be referring to?
The gross square footage is only 1,440 square feet
The gross square footage of what?
of the building, all 3 floors.
So the gross square footage is your 1,000 number, and we're showing 2,000 number. So you're saying that's not accurate?
That's the gross area of the full building.
You just said that
It's,
your 1,000 is the
it's,
full building.
yeah, the full square footage is 1,440 square feet. The town tax records have it at 1,700 square feet.
Okay.
3,440 square feet is inaccurate, grossly inaccurate.
Okay, so we could stop at that. Instead of more elaboration. on it.
Okay.
So Brendan, please go ahead and tackle everything else.
And then it's, this says that it is 5B, that is also incorrect. It is a timber frame structure. It's a Dutch construction, which is part of what it is sort of built for, being large timbers. I kind of understand where there's a gray area for older buildings and what they're classified. I know the man who I spoke to before has concerns about that. But it's definitely not what you consider under a 5B. It is much larger beams, much larger construction elements.
What are the roof rafters, do you know?
The
And
roof rafters are full timbers. They are much larger than 2x4 and bar covered.
okay,
The building is partially 1805, the rest is 1807. 1808 is when the town of Cambria was founded, which is why the date says 1808. That one's more significant because it's around the same era of construction. The building is currently a R3, being that under present conditions without a certificate of occupancy, it is a single-family home allowed no more than 3 transient occupants at any time for no more than 3 days. So, it's my understanding the building department is calling it a A1, which is a hotel motel. That is a topic that we've discussed with them.
A1,
They're saying that's an A1.
wouldn't be hotel, hotel.
I'm
It'll be
looking,
an assembly or something.
oh, I'm sorry, R1. So they're considering it a hotel motel because we were previously renting it out for Airbnb before it was open as a museum. We are not currently doing that. There is no intention to have paid overnight guests in the foreseeable future. It is currently just strictly being used as a museum.
as Airbnb, was it a legal Airbnb based?
Yes.
Municipality?
Yes, so we're currently, as it stands, we're allowed no more than 3 transient occupants for no more than 3 nights. That's a generic town
As an Airbnb.
as a general our use. We have permits to use it for more than that. Our permits We got permits for using it for overnight guests. That is more, was more based off doing an addition. They're gonna build another cabin on the property and use things like that. In the future, we hope to do some of that. But as we told them, for now, this is strictly going to be a museum. We would go back to them if we got to the point where we could use the space for overnight occupancy. Just under this application and under our current plans, it is strictly a museum. No one is living there currently either. It's vacant at the moment.
So your goal, I'm sorry to interrupt, this is a bit convoluted, so your previous occupancy, so we have a change of occupancy that we're discussing, right?
Correct.
What was it before in your mind, and was it going to be moving forward in your mind?
It was previously a R3, meaning that it did not have more than 10 overnight occupants.
And you're going for,
Museum. We considered it under the special occupancy museum.
okay, would it be, the heavier B?
Yeah, they're all B. The choices were, it could be an assembly use if they want to go traditional museum, being that it's so small, the code also picked it back to a B. We considered it to fall under the special occupancy house museum, because at the end of the day, it will stay a house. If it stops being a museum, it will revert back to being a house. So we prefer to have it under that special occupancy, because if, let's say, the museum ended up closing for whatever reason, its charter is up for review in another year, the property would just revert back to being a R.
It may not, may have to come to a board, work it out again, you're gonna be changing occupancy again when it does.
Sure. That's why,
Doesn't automatically go back.
right, that's why I like the special occupancy one, because it specifically says it, and when an R3 is being used for museum purposes, it can be considered a B. It's at the determination of the building inspector, but as I said, any other occupancy, given the size of space, they all seem to kick it back to B anyway.
So if I could interrupt,
Jump in.
Rick Andrews, so that to me is the core of the problem. It says in the code, let me see what the quotes in here. It's in the brief about the fact that the building official may determine. So that to me is the primary thing. The building official in this case is not determining that it's that situation.
Right.
So you're asking us to overturn that decision that the code official made.
So not exactly. The code official has not been able to tell me what occupancy I would get if I complied with their order. They've to date refused to tell me what occupancy that order would grant me.
So officially, this is gonna be a.
Yeah.
Here's.
Well, it's not a variance. Yeah, appeal of the
Yeah.
CEO's code, but he had to give you something for us to overturn.
Yes,
I mean, he had to tell you something.
no, he gave me the order that says what I have to do. They have not told me what occupancy I would get if I did it.
Because like I said, that to me is the core. It says he may.
Yeah.
He
100%.
doesn't have to.
100%, you can choose any of
And
that.
so that to me is very important.
Yeah, and that's part of, I'd like this to, the order as it's written is what I'd like to have, appealed.
Well, there's no, the order that he wrote is just conditions.
Yeah.
Those are violations, et cetera, right?
Chris, would you like to jump in?
Yes, please. This is Chris Jensen, Department of State. The code enforcement officer has made the determination that the existing use is a one-family dwelling. If the person is going to be utilizing the building as a museum, under 50 persons, which would be a B occupancy, and have overnight guests, it would be a mixed use, B and R1. The applicant stated on his application materials that the existing use is an R3, and his proposed use is using that R3 as a museum. If he uses an existing R3 as a museum, he can utilize the existing building code under 1201.
Yeah, I mean, moving forward, we'll certainly hear from the inspector with his position. Sure. Continue.
I mean, I think I'm a little bit at a loss for what else.
Well, John, if I may, one other situation on that the building official may, determined, there were safety conditions. What were those safety conditions? Do you know offhand?
I don't believe we're addressing any of those issues because those issues are the appeal of provisions of the code based on the use of the building. If it's a R3 being used as a museum, there are different provisions than a mixed use be an R1.
Correct,
So
correct.
he is going to cite based on what this determination is. He'll make a decision on what needs to be repaired and stuff like that, and what needs to be done to issue a certificate of occupancy.
So if I understand this right, so he's not appealing, he's not asking for us to follow that section where it says the building CEO may determine.
The building official has made determinations asking if he's having overnight guests. In this hearing, he has stated he's not having overnight guests. So I believe the code enforcement official might be in agreement that it's an existing one-family dwelling going to a B occupancy museum. So that's pretty much, I believe, what the code enforcement officer wanted was someone to go on record saying, we're not having overnight guests. And it's gonna be a B occupancy, that if in the future he wishes to go to have overnight guests, it's not an R3, it's a B, and he'd be going from a B to a mixed use B in R1.
Okay. You could talk if you wanted to, otherwise, you may continue.
No, he was more concerned about the order as it's written. Really, for me, the issue that I'm still having is if I comply with this order, I don't know what occupancy we're talking about.
Well, hopefully that material can be moving forward and maybe future conversations. This is almost a two-phase process here.
It is definitely a two-phase process.
Okay, a two-phase process. So that's that. I'm putting it one thing at a time. What's before us, and then what's the repercussions of that?
Okay.
And this is David Flynn, what's in the order and its relevance is dependent on the occupancy, right? I mean, so the determination here on the appeal could very well impact what is appropriate relevant in an order like that.
So my question on that, so theoretically, if we're now determining what the occupancy group will be at the end of it, and I expect that this order then would essentially be kicked back to the town for either they're gonna stick with it or they're going to write a new one?
We have no idea.
I don't know.
We have no idea what the town's gonna do.
Gotcha.
Good luck moving forward.
Understood.
But you understand that they've determined it as a B. You said he didn't determine it, but he's saying he didn't determine it as a B.
They must have told him if they did.
Okay, as long as you committed to no residence.
Yes.
Okay. Any additional comment from the board? Any additional comments from the audience? Do we have?
May I make one comment? He
Yeah.
has gone on the record stating that he's not proposing having overnight guests, transient guests. Has he?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so for the record, he's not proposing to have overnight guests. So the individual, the code enforcement officer for this area is not here? Do you wish to talk?
Yes,
Okay, come on forward, sit and see. Talking to the mic for the record.
morning. My name is Matthew Cooper, Deputy Building Inspector for the town of Cambria, 4160 Upper Mountain Road. Just to go on record, my determination, it was bought as a single-family residence governed under the residential code, changing to a B occupancy.
It was bought as a single-family home.
Single-family home governed under the residential code.
Okay, and then you said something about BS. What did you say there?
It is turning over to a B occupancy.
Proposed.
Correct.
Single-family proposed to be a B is your position,
Correct.
okay?
And was this building, set up as whatever was set up originally and then closed? And then they purchased it and want to reopen it?
It was, to my knowledge, going through a foreclosure when the petitioner bought it. At that point, that I have on record since at least 2012, it was being used as a single-family residence.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So it was closed, was whatever it was before, and now it's being reopened and they want to make it into a B occupancy.
Correct.
That's what your knowledge.
Correct.
And for the record, if the proposal to a B occupancy is satisfactory approach by the petitioner, at that point, will you be evaluating everything again relative to its B occupancy classification? Or is it slide through as B, done deal?
No, it's going to be based on, the blueprints they have turned into the town, in regards to it, but it was, the beginning aspect of it, it was stated that it was an R3 changing over to a B occupancy.
Your position is, sorry guys, it's a single family going to B. That's your position.
Correct.
Okay. So now I know that your position is single family going to B, and hypothetical that the petitioner says, I'm in agreement with the B, will you be instituting more standards to him to sign up on the B occupancy?
As long as there's no overnight occupancy.
So as long as there's no overnight, he could slide through it.
Yeah. At that point, it would just be the business museum, not a mixed use occupancy.
But is he appealing that, or is he appealing that order that all the conditions?
Let's just try to.
Yeah, I'm confused.
I know, but and I'm trying to direct it quickly so that there's no, that's what I'm trying.
Understood.
So, okay, to reiterate, your position, building official position, single family home on record, and apparently the petitioner is proposing a B occupancy. You're okay with the B occupancy as long as there's no overnight stay. Right, done deal.
Correct.
Okay. And in the event that the petitioner is looking for it to be a change of occupancy, your single family home to an R3, what is your position regarding the town's process at that point?
I would need an updated set of blueprints and compliance report from the licensed engineer.
From the R3, for the R3 change of occupancy.
Correct.
Okay? Would you like to add anything else?
That is it.
Anybody in the audience want to add anything to this? No board members? Anything? So I think we're good. We're gonna ask everybody to head out into the corridor while we deliberate. Thank you.
Go on the record.
You're off the record.
The record.
We'll now resume petition number 2021-2024-0158. The board has determined the following findings of fact. Number one, the petition pertains to a change of occupancy of an existing residential dwelling to a B occupancy. Number two, the existing building is reported as construction type 5B, wood frame, unprotected, 2 stories in height, with a 3,440 square gross floor area for the entire building, which would include the basement. Number three, the building is known as the Historic Forsyth Warren Tavern, located at 5182 Ridge Road, Town of Cambria, County of New York, County of Niagara, State of New York. Number four, petitioner is seeking an appeal of the code enforcement official's determination that the building is a one-family dwelling less than 3 stories above grade in height. Number five, the petitioner provided a building code evaluation in Exhibit B, which details the existing structure is a R3 use and occupancy. Number six, the building official has made the determination that the existing use of the structure is a one-family dwelling less than 3 stories above grade in height. Number 7, the intent of the petitioner is not to utilize the museum for overnight guests, and proposed use is as a museum for less than 50 occupants. Number 8, per section 303.1.1 of the 2020 Building Code of New York State, a building or tenant space used for assembly purposes with an occupant load of less than 50 persons shall be classified as a B occupancy. At this point, we'll have a motion.
I so move.
A second.
A second.
Motion is carried 2-0. At this point, we will conduct a vote.
I think you need to state the determination.
Vote for the determination first. Okay. The determination is as follows. The board denies the appeal of the petitioner. In view of the above findings, the board denies the appeal of the petitioner and therefore sustains the determination of the code enforcement official. Insufficient evidence has been provided to warrant reversing the determination of the code official. At this point, we'll conduct a vote. Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Flynn?
Yes.
John Light is also in favor. The vote carries 4-0. This decision is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. The hearing is now concluded. If anybody has additional questions, they could address the Albany staff. Thank you.
Off the record.
Off the record. I will now begin petition number 2024-0301. The aggrieved party is DRF Design. The nature of grievance and relief sought. Petition pertains to the change of occupancy to an existing 3-story building from a detached 2-family dwelling to a group 2 building with 3 dwelling units. Excuse me. I'll repeat. Nature of grievance and relief sought. The petition pertains to a change of occupancy to an existing 6-story building from a detached 2-family dwelling to a group R2 building with 3 dwelling units. The existing building with the proposed change of occupancy is classified as type 5B construction, wood frame, unprotected, 3 stories in height, containing approximately 6,145 square feet in total gross area, located at 681 Lafayette Avenue, City of Buffalo, County of Erie, State of New York. Petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, the Building Code of New York State, Table 504.4, titled Allowable Number of Stories Above the Grade Plane. For Group R2 buildings equipped throughout with an NFPA 13R automatic sprinkler system installed in accordance with 903.3.1.2. Petitioner requests allowing the installation of an NFPA 13D sprinkler system in the proposed 3rd floor dwelling and the stairs to the grade exits in lieu of installing an NFPA 13R sprinkler system throughout the entire building. Next section, 19 NYCRR Part 1221, Building Code of New York State, Section 903.2.8, titled Group R. For buildings with a Group R fire areas equipped throughout an automatic sprinkler system in accordance with Section 903.3. Petitioner requests allowing the installation of an NFPA 13D sprinkler system in the proposed 3rd floor dwelling and the stairs to the grade exits in lieu of installing an NFPA 13 or sprinkler system throughout the entire code. Next section, 19 NYCR, Part 1221, the Building Code of New York State, Section 903.3.1.2, titled NFPA 13R sprinkler systems. For allowing NFPA 13R automatic sprinkler systems in Group R occupancies up to and including 4 stories in height in buildings not exceeding 60 feet in height above grade plane. Petitioner requests allowing the installation of a 13D sprinkler system in the proposed third floor dwelling and the stairs to the grade exits in lieu of installing an NFPA 13R sprinkler system throughout the building. At this point, you may come forward and make your case.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to mention that we have 3 board members?
Yes, so just for the record, for the petitioner, we're down to 3 board members, so any ruling will have to be unanimous regarding your petition.
Okay.
So if one guy says, no, you're done, if we have 5 people, one guy said, no, you still might be in. So you have the option of saying, I'd like to table it, I'm not comfortable with 100% ruling, or you can move forward.
I'm gonna my name is David Fleming, I'm the architect.
Okay.
My name is Charles Gurney, I'm the owner of the building.
Yeah, so it's a decision, and it depends on where your head is at regarding this. So we're putting it to you, and we could table it and come back when we have a full board. As you can see, we're down to 3 members, so you will have to have 3 votes to pass.
I feel comfortable moving forward.
Okay. Done deal, in the case.
Yeah, so,
State your name and be back.
yes, my name is David Fleming, I'm an architect, and my firm is called DRF Design. The office is located at 3993 Harlem Road in Amherst. And so we're doing the drawings for this building, and I think that I've already described it. The existing building has there's floor plans I hope everyone has, but I also have plans here in case anybody doesn't. The existing building has a 3-bedroom, essentially a unit on the 1st and 2nd floor. And on the 3rd floor, there's a very large space that, as with many of these older homes in Buffalo, could be used for a living space up there.
Excuse me, David Flynn speaking. Is there evidence that that space was used, for maid or out?
So on the original drawings, some of these rooms are called trunk room. There's a trunk room 1, trunk room 2, attic storage. So the original documents don't call out a living space, but
There is square footage that's down at the city as usable square footage on the floor.
are there, how many of the walls are finished?
There are 2 fully finished rooms,
So there is some evidence.
and then there's evidence of plumbing up there at some point. And then radiator lines up to those 2 finished rooms as well.
Okay. So, the owner, could, the owner wants to make alterations for sure, the 1st and 2nd floor units, okay? If you look at the difference between, the existing plan and the proposed plan, essentially, we're eliminating 1 bedroom, right?
Yeah, we're our hope is to take it from a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom per floor to a 2-bedroom, 2 bathrooms.
Right. So the owner could simply renovate the 1st and 2nd floor, and that's it. No variances are required. That 3rd floor could continue to be used by somebody and it's not protected in any way.
How can it continue to be used as habitable space? How can that happen?
How would someone police that?
No, how can the owner do that legally?
No, they wouldn't,
Okay.
but
Okay.
we all know there's no way to.
Well, I don't know if we all know, I agree.
So that would be one option. A second option would be to renovate the 3rd floor and have it be part of the 2nd floor unit. And if we were to do that, there is a, avenue in the, residential code that allows you to, sprinkler the third floor and the stair down. So that's option two. Option three is what we're proposing to do, which is convert it to a 3-unit apartment. Use the performance compliance method to meet the building code, the existing building code, which I've already, completed a preliminary, review of that performance compliance method, and it does comply.
So just
So-
for fun, how did that performance compliance method satisfy two means of egress remote from each other regarding the third floor?
So I don't believe, with the existing building code requires, the remoteness, does it?
Well, the existing building, you're
The existing building.
jumping to the new code.
Mhm. So,
You know,
You have to have in there about that you had to have a 14-foot, have a window.
so let me back up. So with this third approach, where, we would use the, chapter 13, the big problem is the third floor is considered an addition. So, it would have to be, sprinklered, and in fact, can't extend it non-conformity, so the whole building would have to be sprinkled. There's also the table, that we've
So-
referenced it. So,
Excuse me, not to interrupt you, but so you've done a chapter 13 analysis. You said it does meet it.
it does meet it aside from the
So it does,
sprinkler system.
so it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Right,
So it doesn't.
right,
That's fine.
Okay.
Because I was gonna say, if that's the case, then
right.
they could accept the 13 of it.
And that's why we're here. So my position is, you know, if we went with we went with the residential code, the 2-family unit, there is an avenue that allows us to sprinkle the third floor and the stairway down. So we're proposing to do the same thing, but obviously,
But you're proposing to increase the apartments to 3 versus.
right.
It's legal for 2, do what you just said.
But we're also proposing to have fire separations, between units.
So you're going to put a 2-hour ceiling at the second floor,
Yes,
and a 2-hour ceiling at the first floor,
right.
and,
That's how we meet,
and rated stairwells and rated doors all the way up,
yes, that's how we meet the, chapter 13. So,
but you don't meet genders.
right,
Okay.
But for the sprinklers.
but for this,
So you don't meet chapter 2.
Okay. So you may continue.
so that's pretty much, the summation of what we're
Okay.
proposing.
So the category of, we are going to do above and beyond what is normally required because we don't receive new variance. So we're going to offers or anything in that category that you would put on the table. That, your case more viable.
And safety.
Yeah, enhance fire safety or anything else you propose to do.
Well, I can go through the, performance
Well,
compliance,
well, that doesn't matter.
No,
That doesn't matter.
that's-
I don't think that matters because we're not ruling on that performance. We're
Okay.
ruling on your statements here regarding what you,
it's mainly the, fire rating between the units.
so, okay. So you're going to go 2, like I said earlier, you're going to go 2 hours, first to second, 2 hours, second to third, rated stairwell, self-contained rated doors all the way to the outside, coupled with sprinkler at the third floor and sprinkler stairwell leading.
Right.
And can you tell me?
Interconnected smoke and heat detection. Between all 3 units, is that something?
Well, that's required in that section.
I can reference that.
But it should still be in there.
I think that's required.
So,
Part of chapter 14 is required.
so your third floor plan, I'm only proposed, but anyways, I see 2 means of egress that are like 10 feet away from each other, so to speak.
Mhm. They're right next to each other.
Here's the new third floor. Okay. So somewhere, 2 means of egress to the third floor are required. If you were when you go to three, I'm trying to get to, are both required? And, or as earlier stated, is the lack of remoteness disregard providing to them?
I don't believe that there is a requirement for remoteness.
Is there a requirement for 2 stairs?
For the if we were to apply for a two-family unit,
No, 3 family.
or a three-family unit.
Well, it's two family. It would be a two-family
no.
extending the second floor into.
No, he's before us today to have it.
No, but he couldn't do that. That's what he's basically saying. He wouldn't be allowed to do that with a big thing. He'd have to sprinkle fully.
Yeah, see, you'd have to sprinkler fully, but he's trying not to sprinkler fully and get his 3rd unit, right?
Right.
Okay, so now we're at the 3rd floor, and you want your 3rd unit. And what is your position regarding 2 means of egress that are 10 feet from each other? Obviously, you want them at opposite ends, fire on one side, you get on, blah, blah, blah. What's your response to the remoteness of 2 stairs relative to 2 means of egress for the 3rd floor unit?
Right. So, we have, let's look at the 3rd floor plan. Charles, do you know if we have in addition to the 2 stairs, do we also have a situation where there's a window with a deck that's within 14 feet below it?
Yeah, the front window of the building can land within 14 feet
Okay.
of the second floor porch. And there is actually
And that's at the opposite end.
that's on the opposite end, yeah.
Right. So, I guess, again, I'm not sure that the remoteness is, required for either the 2-unit approach or for the, performance, chapter 13 approach. But we do have 2 stairs and we have a egress window, at the opposite end with a, deck essentially that is, less than 14 feet from the windowsill.
To the 2nd floor roof.
Yeah, it's a covered.
Floor roof is not 14 feet from grade though. You know, well, that or I think it's the 2nd floor roof. Yeah.
Right. But there is a, what is that? That the roof of the covered porch?
Yeah, that'd be the,
2nd floor, not first
Yeah.
floor.
Right. And then from there to grade would be somewhere around 12, 13 feet.
right.
So you're gonna go from the 3rd floor window down to the roof of the 2nd floor deck.
Right.
Down to
Great.
grade, you should,
But you're saying
20-something feet.
the roof of
No.
the second floor deck to the ground. Not,
From the 3rd floor window to the roof above the, first floor porch,
Yeah.
right, is less than 14 feet.
I thought you missed a floor there.
No.
You're going from 3 to 2 to 1.
No, we have, I could do a little sketch.
I don't-
Again,
I'm not gonna go up a second. I don't know if that's in the code anymore. I believe that was the old code that required that 14-foot drop, a ladder and all that.
right, I was just
The new code doesn't,
I was just bringing it up.
As long as it's sprinkler, they don't address that. I know, I understand what you're saying.
I was kind of bringing it up in reference to the comment about the remoteness, because both
Understood.
stairs are right next to each other.
Yeah, first,
yeah.
one stair.
So if this is just a quick sketch of the, so you have a porch,
Or grade there.
so this is the grade,
I got it, okay.
right? So if this is the porch above the first floor, this is the window on the 3rd floor, it's less than a 14-foot drop to this.
Oh,
And then this would be, what are the ceiling heights, do you know, on the 1st floor?
What's the drop from
They're
your,
about 9.
About 9 feet, this ceiling height's about 9 feet, and we got about 2 feet. I mean, it's not
so
more.
you think you got your 14 foot again?
This is the original. Please don't cover up my microphone.
Okay, can I hold on, please, while we move forward? Okay, you may continue.
So, anyway, my only point was that there is, at the other end of this 3rd floor, there is a means to
Yes,
get out.
and are those windows egress windows? Are they on the side?
We are gonna put,
Egress windows in it?
you know what, do you mind if we look? I didn't get into that level of detail. May as well see if that's, there's actually, on the third floor, there's multiple side windows. So we have, we currently have a window that is, it's wide enough, but it's not tall enough, so it would have to be converted to a,
The record, Chris Jensen, Department of State, they're not egress windows. It would be an emergency escape and rescue opening, not part of the path of being egress.
all of these would have to be made egress, you know, for.
There's no such thing.
Okay,
It's an emergency escape and rescue opening. And egress is a part of an egress path. Emergency escape and rescue opening, the second or first floor window.
so, any
Excuse me,
bed,
was I correct? Did they strike that about the 14-foot, put the ladder and all that stuff? It's no
I'm
longer.
not aware where that's in
That's
this
no
current
longer.
residential.
so any new, bedrooms up there would be required to have emergency escape
And rescue.
and rescue openings.
Yeah, and any new bedrooms are required to meet new building code for a new bedroom. Heights, ceiling heights, outlets, everything,
Right.
because it's new, it's an addition.
Right.
All right, anything additional, we're gonna get the city of Buffalo fire prevention. Also have a table, would you like anything else?
I don't have it.
Okay, we'll
Charlotte,
probably allow you to come back after we hear from the city and,
Not at this time yet.
okay, so the city, who wants to come forward from the city and talk about, the variance?
You're growing.
Yeah, please, thank you.
I'm Cody Osborne, CEO for the city of Buffalo. So this is my job, I've been working with the team on. So I did bring original drawings, glad they kind of helped with that. This also, I just really wanted to show the third floor trunk rooms as it was originally drawn in 1914, I think it was. So,
Do you find out what a trunk room is?
no, I got storage, I got, yeah.
Gary went up 3 stories?
Because it wasn't the full attic, like two, each floor, first and second floor had its own trunk room up in the attic.
Is it your opinion that the trunk room was habitable space at one point, or was it for storage, et cetera?
Oh, I would say it was storage. But it sounded like it's plastered and finished here.
Yeah.
That's how they did things.
Okay.
The major point for the city of Buffalo, speaking for Mark Morgani, fire chief, who's not here, but Charlie Graver is, if we have any fire-related questions, is basically that it should be sprinkled throughout and, should be the 13R. So even if they're granted just as partial system, we'd like to see a 13R. Because the 13D is for residential domestic, and this is now a commercial with 3 units.
So what is your position regarding the variance that's before us? Are you in favor, neutral, or against?
I mean, it seems like the fire department,
Well, they can speak for themselves, but I guess we're asking you, unless you don't want to remain neutral, then we'll have the fire department make their,
yeah, we're neutral.
okay. So in the past, City of Buffalo has on record the third floor units from a survey from the 50s at, Blah, or something that shows third floor occupancies on record.
No, there is partially square footage in our records that show that it's space up there on the story. So that's what the trouble is what it's not the full square footage,
Yeah.
but there is a partial in our system assessments. There's a partial square footage from the.
So sometimes, it's talked about that the survey was conducted to all the City of Buffalo
In the 50s.
residents in the 50s that they need to report their third floor usage. And if you don't, if they didn't, then it was no longer legal. Does this address have?
No.
It does not have that legality.
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I might add, there's a difference between 3rd story occupancy and 3rd story dwelling unit.
Yep.
You know, that's, you're getting into a third, which turns it into an R2.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it boils down. I mean, if you're gonna use it for a bedroom,
Yep.
that's a whole different ballgame than if you're making a third unit.
Yeah, because if they were using it as a bedroom, their option two that they spoke about is code compliant, for the fact that there's gonna be a that's code compliant, but,
The full third unit.
they're doing a third floor, that's why we're here.
And they're becoming multiple, they like to create multiple. Yeah. Okay.
The thing that, I think you mentioned something about there was some kind of proof of plumbing up there, but I don't think we have anything shown, so that, who knows, bootleg throughout time, they just bought it, right? So, let's try to find that. Plan of attic and roof. Sorry. And it just shows 2 trunk rooms, 2 stairs, same as it is, and then attic space for most of the roof, or the floor, but no plumbing shown.
That's the one we really wrong.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Anything else, Cody?
No, that's it for me.
Charlie, fire prevention, would you like to come forward and let us know how your office, that you do this?
Hi, Charlie Gray from Buffalo Fire Prevention Bureau.
Spell your last name for me, please.
GRA, V is in Victor, ER.
Thank you.
What Mr. Fleming said before, I think he had 3 options, right? Option 1 was the 13R. We are in support of option 2, which was the Appendix J, residential code. We would be in support of option 3, which I believe is what they're asking for the variance for. And they're gonna rate out the stairwells, but it said 2 hours, 2 hour
Yeah,
rating
so
lid.
it's not required for the section that allows the second and fourth to go to the third rating. But if they're looking for the third floor unit, they're gonna add some measure like rating the second floor ceiling to the third and confirming the rating of the stairwell and the doors to the exit. We'll get them back up just to confirm that, but I think that's what's before you. Your position regarding this becoming a multiple dwelling
Right.
and providing sprinklers at the third floor, he needs to keep this out, coupled with the rating that he's willing to do compartmentalized. So if there's a fire, it stays within the 2 hour envelope, 2 hour envelope, 2 hour stairwell, whatever the case is, so.
So it's effectively its own building.
Well, it's in its own rated envelope.
Right. So with
But
the,
it is a multiple dwelling and
so we're in the existing building code, multiple dwelling.
it's the existing, you're changing the occupancy of, we'll get, quote you back over, you're changing the occupancy of an attic storage into a dwelling unit. That becomes an addition.
Right.
So now you have to go to the addition part of the code and confirm total compliance with the addition part of the code, like outlets and air movement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But before us today is only, they're gonna do all that automatically. They have to, Cody gets those drawings, or what you do.
Now, it's my understanding that, this board isn't given the authority to vary from NFPA standards, correct? It's just state.
Yeah,
This is national installation manual that they use, and they ask for an NFPA 13 system, which is by definition for 1 and 2 family dwellings.
well.
So this would have to be, I would have to say that they would have to install, if they were to be granted variance, it would have to be in accordance with 2904, because that's what's referenced in New York books specifically.
So is it your position that Office of Fire Prevention, City of Buffalo is in favor of this ruling as long as the following, or you're not in favor of this ruling? You can add you're in favor of it, and then we'll decide decide if they're going to go along with that. So, I mean, we're putting you in a position.
Yeah,
I think-
I think we're the office is in favor of option one, option two, and option three. How do we get there from the existing back to the residential? So we're going from residential to the existing, changing the occupancy.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go sneak back into the residential, just for the
No,
spring.
I think what's before us and before you is the allowance of their variance requesting not to sprinkler the entire building and make up all of well. That's
That's really,
the crux of the
that's
matter.
really.
Right.
So I guess your position is one or the other. Yes, we're in favor of creating a multiple dwelling
In accordance with 13R.
sprinkler system.
Right.
Yes.
Right. That's what you,
But when you say 13, my heart beat, oh, just for the third floor for the entire,
No, 13R would be the entire
the
building.
entire building.
Well, it's not like a 13, it's 13R is the kind of a sweet spot where it's more affordable. Probably more people would sprinkle the buildings then, so it's not every nook and cranny of the building.
Right.
Okay, so their variance is not to sprinkle the building. You're against that. They don't want to sprinkler the entire building. You're in favor of sprinkling the entire building.
I am in favor of that.
So if therefore you're not in favor of them not sprinkling the entire building.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry to be a jerk.
No, that's okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask the
Yeah.
the architect a couple
Yeah,
questions?
you guys want to come back and maybe we'll have Cody come back too.
I just have two questions. On the paperwork that we got from you, you mentioned structural integrity of the existing floor joists for sprinklers. I didn't understand that. I mean, they run sidewalls today, they run, they can do moldings, piping in the molding. I mean, it's amazing what they can do with residential sprinklers today.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring attention to the nature of the existing, and old structure, and then.
Like I said, they can do, I mean, they can put them in, put the pipe in molding.
Yeah,
Molding.
I am applying for historical tax credits as well. So they're pretty particular on.
But they can run, I mean, you got historical buildings that sprinkler all of them.
Yep.
Also, you mentioned cost, but you don't have any cost analysis of the sprinkler entire building.
Have you guys looked at that, cost of the entire building sprinkling?
I have not, the only cost I look into was the sprinkling the third floor or sprinkling the staircase to the third floor.
And what was your guesstimate, or what was the proposal?
The proposal was just south of 20,000, about 17 or something around there, I think.
And this is, you had mentioned there's gonna be renovations in both tenant spaces.
Yes.
And the reason I throw this out to you is because we are a 3-member board. And as everything stands right now, I would not be in favor of the variance, granting the variance. So I would, I guess, give you the opportunity to withdraw this, come back, or table it, or.
Amber, can you do that?
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not voting officially, but from what I'm seeing
I was
right
gonna
now.
ask that.
Yeah, I mean, can you do that, Albany, can you do
You
that?
can table it, you can also request additional information.
At this point in time,
Because he's saying you went the performance compliance method, you don't have a copy of the performance compliance method. Perhaps you want a copy of that before you render a decision, and you can table it until that time.
Well, he said couldn't meet it, right? Couldn't meet it. He couldn't
But he
meet.
has other things in that performance compliance method that might.
The only thing we don't need, obviously, is the sprinkler the entire building.
Yeah, so you don't meet,
so it sounds like you guys have the option to get this table at this point in time, based upon the way this thing is moving.
May I ask a question? Is there a difference in sprinkling systems, maybe it's for clarity, is there a difference in sprinkling systems from the line coming into the building? From the line coming from the city?
Tap.
I need you up on a microphone, sir.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
there is.
So if you were to sprinkle the entire building, you'd need a new water line coming.
Yes, you would probably need another tap for an R system, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta go to the street.
But it may not be every before, it could be three, it could sometimes do it with two, depending on the size of the hydraulic calculation.
Right, yeah, it would also depend on your engineer. A good engineer he'll get you the water you need at the farthest point away.
Okay.
So when you did your 20 grand sprinkler system, third floor only stair out, were they going on the domestic water line?
They're going up domestic water line, it means that they were happy, or if need be, put tanks in the basement, storage tanks in the basement.
And when you get the skip tanks, you go right to the main and get your pressure there.
Can I ask one more thing? Wait, is there a precedent for this? My understanding was that there was, precedent, doing what we're doing, whether.
Projects.
Please come up to the microphone.
There have possibly been projects in the past, but I mean, not that I know, like, I don't know an address off my head, or this board, or this, every house is different, so every project is different.
Cody, if I could address that, we have, granted these before, but it's for, like I said, there's a distinction. Using the third floor as a dwelling or habitable space versus a third floor dwelling unit. That's where the distinction is, and it changes the occupancy.
Right.
We have granted them for using the third floor as a habitable space. And some information we got from the building department said it was already a habitable space, but we have never granted a third floor dwelling unit, no.
And I don't recall the board granting that either,
Okay.
but I'm not going to the archive, that is my recollection.
If I may, this is Henry Shank of New York State Department of State. Every variance application and decision rendered is based on a specific building to the application before it. So essentially, there is no precedent.
So that's, I just wanted to let you, normally I wouldn't even mention, I wouldn't say anything about this, but because there's a 3-member board, and the only problem with this one is the 2 people that are on this board will never be able to hear it because they're involved in it. And, they may have to do it to another board if you decide to table it.
Okay.
Or just go for 13 hours.
Yeah. Well, do you want to table this or?
Yeah, I would say yes. I don't think we're.
Yeah, you could table it.
If we can.
Come up with, my God, all I got to spend is $11, and I get rid of something, let's put it in and be done, and then you're done, and then you just deal with those guys, you don't deal with us anymore.
Right.
Just send us an email and say withdraw our application.
Okay.
Find a different route.
So you officially like to table it?
I would.
Regarding petition number 2024-0301, petitioners have agreed to postpone and table this hearing until for a further date, and we'll be notified of that moving forward. That's sufficient. That's sufficient. Thank you. The hearing is up.
Do you want to stay on the record?
Yeah, let's stay on the record.
Staying on the record.
We're gonna go on to the next.
Yeah.
Okay, let me make a new file. Make a new file, okay.
Thank you.
Yes, wait for a second. Take 1 second.
Of course.
Zero. Five. Okay, ready when you are.
I'll go with the other board member.
All right.
Street.
That's what
Where's the source?
Maybe we are.
No, I don't.
There is. I'll get a call. Yeah.
It's all around here. You don't like to.
Yes.
No problem. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Peter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just saying, we're still being recorded. If you want to
Okay,
get
it's still
back.
being recorded.
Beautiful.
So here
Yeah, I'm there. It's like I never was gone.
Barbara, are you there? Barbara, are you there?
She did never stop the recording.
I'm here.
Okay, here we go. Petition number 2024-0352. Hendrik, do you have a write-up? I don't have a write-up.
I think it was the same thing.
Is
that
that
one?
what was emailed to everybody?
I don't make copies of this too. It was the same thing. She sent these later.
Okay, Barbara, if you want to pause the recording for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sent these out.
My apologies.
I didn't realize it was both cases.
You want to pause?
Yeah, he has to make copies of everything.
We're now hearing petition number 2024-0352. The aggrieved party, Camco General Contracting. Nature of grievance and relief sought. Petition pertains to the construction of a new detached one-family dwelling classified as type 5B construction, wood frame, unprotected, 3 stories in height, containing approximately 5,260 square feet in total gross area, located at 4384 Nancy Court, Town of Hamburg, County of Erie, State of New York. The petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1225, the Fire Code of New York State, Section 507.5.1, titled Where Required, which states that where a portion of a facility or building hereafter constructed or moved into or within the jurisdiction is more than 400 feet from a hydrant on a fire apparatus access road as measured by the approved route around the exterior of the facility or building, on-site fire hydrants and mains shall be provided where required by the fire code official, with exceptions. 1, for group R3 and group U occupancies, the distance requirement shall be 600 feet. And 2, for buildings equipped throughout with an automatic sprinkler system installed in accordance with section 903.3.1.1 or 903.3.1.2, the distance requirement shall be 600 feet. Petitioner requests relief from the fire hydrant requirements for the proposed detached one-family dwelling located approximately 1,100 feet from the closest existing fire hydrant. At this point, you may come forward and present your case. Who is here to talk on this? Anybody online?
Yes, good morning, board. My name is Cameron Satarik. I'm the president of Camco General Contracting. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. Like I said, my title is president, Camco General Contracting. Our business address is 10994 Tinkham Road, Darien, New York, 14040. Also joining me on this call is my client and owner, Mr. Ryan Bonetto, and his architect, Mr. Kevin Connors from Ecologic Studios in Buffalo, New York.
If you're speaking, please turn on your camera.
So, sorry, moving forward, I guess I'll just start by saying that the owners, Ryan and Sharon, were kind of lured into purchasing this lot by the developer, kind of under false pretenses that this lot was going to be for a preferred client. And it's unique in the fact that it's set back very far. There's 1,000-foot narrow easement that kind of meanders through the woods to get to the building site location. And that being said, where we are constructing the house is the only feasible location on the property where a house can be built. So the over 1,000-foot setback is not by choice, rather kind of required because of the uniqueness of this lot. And then, so the need for a private fire hydrant on the location was not discovered until the building permit was submitted and the town of Hamburg performed a code check. And at that point, Camco did begin this variance application process to see if we can get that requirement lifted. The owners have elected to sprinkler fit their entire dwelling because of this issue. So every nook and cranny of this house, from the basement to the garage, all 3 stories are sprinkler fitted. At the time, I'm sorry. Was someone asking a question?
Nobody here.
Okay. So at the time the variance was submitted, we were just under a subcontract with Armor Construction. But as of today, the entire sprinkler system has been roughed in and tested and has passed. And so the our reasoning for the variance is just for the unforeseen economic burden, which at this point we estimate in upwards of $50,000, in addition to yearly maintenance and upkeep on the fire hydrant on private land.
Just for a benchmark, are there adjacent properties, homes that are also not in compliance with the hydrant distance requirement? Does anybody know that?
So the Nancy Court development, it's part of a bigger neighborhood, Willow Woods. That entire neighborhood is in compliance with all the fire hydrants. The Bonetto lot is that you access their lot from a cul-de-sac at the end of Nancy Court, and then they are 1,000 foot into the woods, kind of getting into a very remote, almost agricultural area. There is a side street, Taylor Road, that kind of goes in the direction of where the Bonetto residence is. And I do believe that there are some neighboring houses. Just looking an aerial view, they are set very far back, and I don't believe that they are within, the requirement of the fire hydrant.
Have you talked with the fire officials regarding your predicament?
Yes, they did fill out the standard questionnaire, because this is kind of a black and white case as far as, are you within the distance per code or not? They are not in favor of it. I'm not sure if a copy of the questionnaire, I know I included it in the submission, but hopefully that questionnaire was included in your exhibits today.
Okay, and then they are not in favor, they didn't discuss, they simply checked off not in favor, or have you had discussions?
So it was the code enforcement official for the town was actually the one who suggested this avenue of applying for a variance when we were discussing this. But I know the fire marshal, he is against it just because of how far back in the woods it is.
And how about the code official? Has he filled out the authority having jurisdiction form?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
he's in favor of it?
No, sir.
The code enforcement officer in filling out the
No.
authority having jurisdiction form, is he in favor of this variance?
No, sir. No, sir. Neither the code enforcement official or the fire marshal are in favor.
Neither are in favor, okay. So whoever wants to speak on your behalf, how would you justify, besides a financial hardship, the fact that sprinklering the entire building from basement to roof should satisfy fire concerns, fire prevention, detection concerns? How do you verbalize that? Whoever wants to speak.
If you don't mind, I'd like to speak here.
We're not hearing, Kevin's not coming through. Speak again, Kevin, let's see what you get.
This is Kevin Connors. Can you hear me?
Well, we got you a little bit, what do you want to do? What do you think, let him go?
He keeps muting himself.
So you gotta stop muting yourself, Kevin. Still not working, still not working. Get someone to suggest to him what button to push and when and how.
Let me grab some headphones. Excuse me.
Okay.
He looks like he has
His
two.
granddaughter.
No, he looks, he has two connections.
Oh.
And they're echoing, providing feedback.
Where's the 12-year-old in here?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you now.
Got you now.
Okay, thank you. I'm Kevin Connors, architect with Ecologic Studio. And I just want to respond to the question here. Sorry, I'm getting echo. I don't know if you are.
Well, we are not.
Okay. So this is the first house with a 1,000-foot driveway that we've encountered. And we knew it was 3-story. It needed to be fully sprinklered. We also have emergency egress windows on all levels. We have hardwired CO and smoke detectors. And the driveway itself has features of a fire apparatus access road, including the emergency vehicle turnout and a 96-foot diameter turnaround. So it comes to a matter of the assessment of risk, which we feel like from a fire protection standpoint, we've covered the owner. So I understand that there's it's fairly black and white in the code. I don't have the code commentary to see what the assessment of risk is, but I'm wondering if there's alternative measures to alleviate whatever risk there might be.
This is David Flynn. Is there any, like a pond feature or any other source of water that a fire department could access closer to the premises?
No, there is not at the moment. We have discussed the possibility of digging a pond and putting in a dry hydrant if absolutely needed.
So if the board considers the installation of the pond and the dry pipe system, you are willing to go along with that if it becomes part of our ruling moving forward?
I believe it would be a much cheaper, it would definitely be a much cheaper alternative to extending the water main and installing a hydrant on the private property. So yes, I would have to say we would be willing to comply with that if that.
So Ryan, you're the owner, are you willing? Right, Ryan's the owner, right?
Yes. Hi, my name is Ryan Benetto. I am the owner. We talked about the pond as an option. The other option I know that was floated out was a cistern of storing water, because we did plan to have some rainwater storage on site already, and if we need to increase that size, it was more of what is the requirements of stored water on site. So either a pond or a cistern, whichever options are available to us. We were wondering if those could be used instead of the hydrant option.
So Kevin, do you know offhand an NFPA standard that allows an evaluation of all issues relative to a pond and therefore satisfying the building code? Are you aware of that NFPA standard?
I am not aware, but it's something we could look into if that's acceptable to the board.
Well, and then when I looked into it, it was quite complicated, and I think you probably have to almost hire a hydraulic engineer to pull it off, but it is there. It's 1142.
1142. Rural 4042.
So it looks like it's 1142, NFPA 1142. So obviously, if you satisfied 1142 and it is a reference standard, then you meet the code and you don't have to be before us. However, before us today is not that. So what can be before us today as part of your request is providing a pond with a dry pipe system. That could be before us, and it sounds like it is based upon conversations with Cameron and Ryan. So for instance, if we rule in favor or against, you still have the opportunity to entertain 1142 and satisfy that reference standard and not have to deal with variance board because you meet the code.
Acceptable, maybe you can cite that as I think it's only for rural if you have no availables.
I mean, that would be my question,
Yeah.
is whether it's applicable. We could cite it as a condition.
Right.
Granting it. But I don't know if that would otherwise be applicable to
It's Peter Klein, Rick, to my best understanding, in the fire code, we have to have buy-in by the local fire chief to execute 1142.
It's rural, it's for rural fire.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's safe to say 1142 isn't easily achievable. You know, you have to go through the process to pull it off. But still, what's before us today apparently is your request, sprinkler the entire building, not provide a hydrant to the street, however, provide a dry pipe and pond system. And in the meantime, you can go ahead and do your 1140 analysis and see if that's in the best interest of your clients, and you could satisfy the code and the code official with that, working with him hand in hand. Does that sound clear?
Yes, understood.
So Kevin, are you understanding that?
Yes.
Scenario? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions. In the paperwork that we received, there was mention about the fact that the code enforcement official was asking you to comply with NFPA 13R or NFPA 13. And that's correct for the extension of the 600 foot. However, if you go into NFPA 13D in the code under 903, you'll see that it says that is for 1 and 2 family dwellings and townhouses. So that part was incorrect, but so really what you're asking for is a 400 foot variance because you have fully sprinkled the building.
Correct.
You meet 600 feet, but you don't meet the extra 400 feet. Is that correct?
Correct.
Do you know of what type of hose the fire department has? I mean, do they have 5-inch? Do they have 4-inch? Do they have 2.5s? I mean, do you know anything about that?
Fortunately, no, I do not know the specifics. I don't know if Kevin does.
No, I have not discussed that.
We don't have anybody here.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a fire question? Okay. Forward and Rick, you can address the question directly to him for on record.
Hi, my name is Jeff Skripek. It's SKRCYPEK. I'm the town of Hamburg code enforcement officer. And I've also been in contact with our fire chief. I'm also a member of that about Hamburg Volunteer Fire Department. So for our hose, we do carry 4-inch for our large diameter.
How much do you carry on the front?
We carry 1,000 feet per engine. And then this house, off the drawing, off the civil drawings, is 1,100 feet from the cul-de-sac. And then the nearest hydrant after that is another 387 feet away.
Oh, so
And I have a overhead view of the hydrant that I pinpointed. I have pictures of where the hydrant is, standing at the driveway, from the road, plus standing at the hydrant looking towards that. And I took the measuring wheel yesterday and it was 387 feet. So we're looking roughly about 1,487 feet. It was from hydrant to, front of house.
That wasn't in here.
So, did you guys hear that, Kevin, Cameron?
The show.
You're 1,400 feet from the existing hydrant to your front of the house.
I got that.
Okay.
Let me ask you this then, especially since you're in the fire department. Would you be in favor of us granting it with that pond regulation?
So we have absolutely no ponds and no points in our town or in our protection area that we draft off of. We are not typically a drafting department. Our policy is always with fire hydrants. So is it possible? Yes, and our engineers and our drivers are able to draft. Is it something we do all the time? No. And if you need, I can get in touch with the fire chief. He was unable to be here today. But I did ask him if he was all right if I take a call. He could work. He doesn't work on the road. And that too. So if you need to get in touch with him, I can get in touch with our fire chief also.
Would you find someone suggest the possibility of a cistern, a tank versus, would that change your?
So with a inch and 3/4 line, you're looking at 180 gallons a minute. Our engines carry 750. We always tell our guys, you gotta take that's 4 minutes of water. Cistern would all depend on the size, but water goes very quickly, and that's just with 1 inch and 3/4 line. You're always policy is 2, tap and back up, they might not be full at the same time. By the time you fill the lines up, the amount of water used is quite significant, especially if we have to go to any type of like a defensive fire, aerial operations or anything like that, then your water just gets in 1,000, 1,500 gallons a minute.
Is that roadway, is the cul-de-sac, is that a public road?
That is a public road, that cul-de-sac, yes.
So the developer, when he developed that, he should have been required to put a hydrant at the end of that cul-de-sac if he was going to develop those lots that deep back.
I was not around in our building department at that point in time. And then it's my understanding that possibly the fire code has changed for this last version that now requires the exterior use of that for single family homes. or maybe when they did the
Yeah,
development, they
it's-
didn't
it's
have
flip-flop.
that.
It's flip-flop.
Yeah, so they might not have had that requirement at that time, or that met it.
Used to be 1,000 foot to the front door. Residential, you could have a fire hydrant 1,000 foot from the front door. Took that out, went back to this.
Okay.
So, I think an option, at least it would get you to the end of that cul-de-sac. It would be a public hydrant. Maybe the developer could split the cost with the owner, but it certainly wouldn't be the hot box, the maintenance of it, which is a charge per year. I mean, it is expensive to put that hydrant in.
Correct.
It's gonna cost them a ton of money,
Correct.
and they have to maintain it.
Right.
And with hot box and everything else, this way, if they get it at least to the end of the cul-de-sac, you're within 1,000 feet. You have a fully sprinkled building, which drops your, your hazard. So, I mean, I think that might be an alternative.
Yes. With this, I mean, this development, I've worked for the town for over 5 years, and this development is, I mean, this is the only lot that was left on there for me 5 years ago, where it was. It's been complete pretty much except for this one lot for 5 years ago, so I don't know if there's a way for the developer to do it or not. I don't have an answer for
Yeah, I mean, I think the owner, put that in the back of his head regarding moving forward, but before us today, that's not a criteria we could request. We can't say contingent upon developers.
Right.
He may say, you guys are not,
Right.
you know.
But it might be something they can pursue, even if they had to pay for it to bring it to the point where it's at the end of the cul-de-sac and turn it over to the public.
Okay.
Okay, so I think just moving forward, at this point, fully sprinkler, top to bottom, and sounds like a pond with a dry pipe will be available on the site. And I, though you have no experience in the past with drawing from a pond, it's certainly an option based upon your equipment and staffing and good practices, so to speak.
Yes.
Figure it out.
I think, John, also, there would be a condition that they have a full fire alarm system in the building, full smoke and heat protection that reports to the fire alarm.
Okay.
With a water flow alarm.
Yeah, that's the only way it's the only conceivable way to get a response quicker, given the remote location. So,
If I may add, there are already plans in place to have third-party monitoring of the fire sprinkler system. So that when water is diverted to it, it sends the alarm.
Okay.
It's Peter Clement here. Can I ask if your enclosed garage has a heat detector?
Yeah, there will be a heat detector, usually in the garage, but all the smoke. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Okay, thank you. So, I think we have the facts before us, and a quick summation is, that our ruling is gonna be based upon fully sprinkled building, basement 2 roof, coupled with a pond and a dry pipe system, located and designed in coordination with the authority having jurisdiction or the fire official. And realizing that maybe you guys want to pursue the NFPA 1140 as an option, to, putting in a pond, and in fact, we rule in favor of that. Okay, anything else?
Along with the monitored sprinkler system.
Yes.
Supports the fire.
Yes, that would be contingent with the supervised system also. Anything else? Kevin?
I do have one question. We just talked about have the option of the fire hydrant being added at the end of the driveway within the public easement. If we pursue that option as well, would the pond still be required, or could that be done instead of the pond?
Other hearing, that would have to come before us and we would evaluate it again.
Okay.
If you could get it done.
Yeah, if you guys feel that's the path, you gotta come before us again.
Because you still need a 400-foot variance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything else with the board? So I don't know if I mentioned yet, So we have 4 members here, so you're gonna, if we vote, you're gonna need 3 of them in favor. And with that in mind, are you guys still on board with moving forward with our deliberation, or do you want to table it because we don't have a 5th member? 'Cause at this point, you're gonna need 3 of the 4 in favor.
Yeah, Ryan, that's your call. As the owner, that's your call.
Right. Your call, right?
So I guess my question to that is if we don't get the 3, is there recourse? Do we have an option to appeal or anything, or is this one done?
I'm not able to hear the board.
Sorry. Oh, I don't have audio of the board.
If you would table this today, that would give you an opportunity to research the hydrant at the end of the cul-de-sac and come back to us and or the pond.
And also, the extra 2 months will allow you to negotiate in earnest with the local fire officials as to how they perceive the best solution for the situation. I think talking to them is gonna be just about as important as talking to us.
So also, Ryan, to make it more confusing, if we do grant your variance, you can still go back to doing the other options and present to us again. If we deny your variance, you can come back with, oh, the developer said he paid for it, here's the new situation, what's your ruling now, board? So I think you still have those other 2nd and 3rd options available to you after this rule, right? So that's the scope. You follow that, or you need a question or 2?
Yeah, I follow all that.
This is Henry Shedd, Department of State. Another benefit to tabling this matter at this time is that you could consider revising the application materials and resubmitting them before we hear this case again. And then you wouldn't have to pay another fee or reapply for variance.
Okay.
I gotta get the board's thoughts on this. If we deny the variance, you could still come forward with your other options for another application regarding a hydrant located at the end of the cul-de-sac. If we grant the variance, you're good, period. So I guess I don't.
But this is David Flynn, your appeal of this group's decision would be in Article 78 in State Supreme Court. So that's the next step. If we were to deny it and wanted to appeal that, there may be opportunities to come in for a sort of a different variance or under a different theory. But if this variance isn't granted and you want to appeal that really is your only available option.
So Ryan, it sounds like if you chose to appeal this board's ruling, you have to go to the Article 78. However, if you want to reapply with the hydrant at the end of the cul-de-sac, et cetera, then you can do that again through us with the new criteria that are before us.
Rick Andrews speaking, I kind of like that obviously it's up to you, but the option that the Department of State recommended, by tabling it, you don't have to reapply and go through all the new fees, blah, blah, blah. But that's,
May I add something too? Looking at the plans, it shows a 12-foot driveway width. If you want to look at the appendix of the fire code as far as fire apparatus access, I believe anything over 750 feet requires, because it's a dead end drive. You might want to look at the widths and requirements and stuff at that point.
I think he did mention 12 hours.
So we do have a turnout halfway down as well as the 96 diameter circle at the end of the driveway for the truck to turn around.
If I'm not mistaken, the criteria are for a access road, which this is not, it's a driveway.
So a fire apparatus access road is everything from the house to 150 feet within the house to the fire station.
Yeah, this is a driveway.
A driveway is a fire apparatus access. So it has to be 26 feet wide if it's over 750 feet long.
With no interior. Yeah, at this point, if the town has accepted your driveway.
I'm just saying you might want to look at it.
Yeah, so regarding the fire apparatus access road and its criteria, we are not ruling on that. That will be back in the owner's lap, working with the authority having jurisdiction regarding its applicability moving forward.
Okay. I think, with all that, I think we maybe do want to table it then, and we can come back with some more information
Okay.
at the next meeting.
So regarding petition number 2024-0352, Camco General Contracting, the owner has decided to table this particular variance and have it rezoned at a later time once they do more research. At this point, the hearing is concluded, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, gentlemen.